So the title of my research is, the paper that I'm presenting here is competition as an element of gamification for learning. So this is an exploratory study that we did with my PhD supervisor, Dr. Milena, who is unfortunately not here today. So the agenda is that I'm first going to talk about introduction, the research context that we use it for our research, and then the theoretical background for what we are studying, and then some research questions that we try to answer. Then the research methodology, data analysis and results, and finally discussion and conclusion. So basically, the background for this research came out from the fact that competition is a key element that has been used in all the in many different video games before, and some researchers have identified it as one of the main features for any successful video game. And they have shown that it engages people to play, and it also motivates them to keep playing the games. And on the other hand, there are some risks to using competition in any kind of environment. For example, if you're losing a competition, then you're going to lose the motivation to play. And you might get sad or have negative feelings after losing. And also, your enjoyment might go down. But the thing that we are interested in is that we have seen that competition can be used to engage people in gamified systems. And when people are engaged in a learning environment, the research says that they would learn better eventually. So why did we choose this context that we chose as ERP sim? The ERP sim is based on an enterprise resource planning system. It's kind of like a simulation game. How many of you are familiar with ERPs in general? Okay, so not that many. Okay, so ERPs are basically some integrated software solutions that are used for managing business processes in the organizations. So everywhere you have some information flows. There are business processes, for example, in supply chain management, from the time that somebody orders a product till you ship it and get the receipt and everything. You want to monitor everything in one place. So you have these integrated systems, and SAP is the leader of this industry. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it has been all the organizations are interested in using it. They have done it since 1990s. But the fact is that it's a very complex system. As you can see on the screenshot on the right side, this is from SAP ERP. Where, you can see the menus that you have to go through for every task, every little task that you want to do. And it confuses everyone. It's not very usable. And then when you want to teach that to, for example, MBA students, it takes a couple of courses to just teach the very basics. And people are not very engaged and interested in these very complex scenarios. So what happened was that there was a course that was based on a simulation game called ERP Sim. We haven't developed it. It's a very sophisticated system that is developed by some research fellows in HSC Montreal. So what they did was that they took this SAP ERP system and they put some gamification elements around it. So basically, you have some teams in a classroom, you put them in different groups, and they start producing a simple product that is called muesli. So it's as simple as that. You are just competing to sell muesli. So at the end of the day, whoever sells more muesli and they have better marketing and everything, they're going to kind of be ranked in that. You can see that screenshot there. It's just a simple thing that you see the ranking of your team. And previous research has shown that this game is very successful in teaching MBA students this kind of SAP ERP, the very basics of it. And you don't need to have very deep knowledge of supply chain management, for example, or very technical skills when you want to work with this system. So now I'm going to talk about the theoretical background that we use for this research. What we used in this research was theory of flow that I think a lot of you are probably familiar with. This theory tries to kind of explain the optimal holistic experience. So you want to see if people are engaged in a task, why is it that they're engaged? So the theory explains that when challenge and skill in a task are in balance and they're above some kind of like medium level for a person in an activity, they're going to be more engaged in the task activity. So if their challenge is very high, but skill is not very in that level, then you're going to be stressed. Or if the skill that you have for that activity is high, but you're not challenged, then you're going to be bored. And flow has different dimensions. You can measure it with a multidimensional construct, which has curiosity, attention focus, and heightened enjoyment and control. So basically, when you're in that state of flow, you are very curious in the task that you are involved in, and you focus on that thing, and you lose track of time, anything that's happening around you, and you enjoy it, and you have control over it. So these are, we have a couple of research questions that I try to summarize them to make sure that we have enough time to talk about these. So I chose 2 out of the 4 research questions that we have. So the first one was that we wanted to see if, again, this ERP sim, the simulation kind of gamification environment is successful and effective in engaging students, and does it help them to learn? And on the other hand, what are the consequences? Are they going to be demotivated? Are they going to feel dissatisfied or not? And we also want to look at the antecedents. For example, we talk about challenge and focus. Is it really the balance of challenge and focus is the defining element for engaging students? So the research methodology was that we did a longitudinal study. So basically, we went to a classroom that was using this simulation kind of gamification environment, and they used to play this game for 5 different rounds. And we went back after 3 rounds of the game and told the students to fill a survey for us. And a year before that, with another class, we did a focus group study, and we decided to take this element of competition because everyone was saying that it's just a competition that is motivating them to play this game. If they are focused in that game, it's just because they want to beat other teams in just producing music at the end of the day. So there were 18 MBA students, and they were playing in 4 different teams. So as I said, in 3 different points of time, we gave them a survey to fill. And the analysis was that we first chose 3 constructs for the outcomes of the engagement. One was satisfaction. We measure if they're satisfied, positive and negative effect. Research, we call them PA and NA. We also measured students' background in that context, because the background in supply chain management, for example, if you are, you need to know when to order some products, because you are ordering, for example, some raw materials. You have to order oat and raisin and some stuff like that, and then mix them and produce music. So if you have some business background in that, we wanted to see if that would help people to actually learn with this, learn how to work with this system. But that was not the goal of this system. The goal was to teach people how to use the system. It's like kind of like a programming language that you want to teach them how to program, but you're using a context. So we wanted to see if that context affects how people actually think that they can use this program. And all the constructs that we used were measured with a 7-point Likert scale, except PA and NA that were 5-point. And we tested them, and all of our measures were reliable, except the control that was part of the multidimensional measure of flow. And we had to eliminate that one in our results. And the key predictors of flow, as I mentioned before, challenge and skill. If you have a balance of challenge and skill, you would expect to be more engaged. And besides that, we try to measure balance directly. And then we also had feedback and clear goals, because the theory says if you give people feedback and they have clear goals, then it's more probable that they get engaged. And as I said, multidimensional construct was used for measuring flow. So basically, that represents the engagement. Average level of the reported construct were all medium to high, except negative effect. We didn't observe any high negative effect. Mostly were reported very low negative effect. It showed that even if they were losing, they didn't really care that much. And the longitudinal results, I want to show some of our longitudinal results. So you can see in time 1, 2, and 3 how different measures have changed. For example, you can see that these ones are the ones that have a slight increase. For example, people saw that their skill is going up as the time goes on. They have more control. They have their balance of challenge and skill is going up, and their positive effect, and so on. But on the other hand, there were some other variables that didn't change much as the time goes on. For example, focus. Their focus in the game was quite high at all levels. Or for example, negative effect you can see on the bottom, it actually went down. It didn't have much effect across everyone. Or enjoyment didn't change that much. And we did compare different groups to see if the groups that were losing had different results. If we could see different patterns for the teams that were losing versus the ones that were winning. And we divide them to 4 groups of like early leaders. Team Q is on the right side, and then they ended up in the 2nd place here. And then you had the lowest rank. This one is constantly basically losing, and then there's the most improved 2 winners. So the team that was 3rd, and then they ended up being 1st. And mid achievers, the team that was mostly 2nd or 3rd. So we compared the different variables across different groups, and some of the interesting ones were skill and their background knowledge in the area and their satisfaction. And we saw that the teams who were winning, they reported a higher level of skill in 2 of the times, and the 3rd time it wasn't very significant. Or their satisfaction, the same. The team that was winning always reported a higher level of satisfaction. So we wanted to show this in a chart to see that different teams have different, it's not that one team is going up and the other one is going down. They are all going up, for example, in the skill level. But still, the team who is losing, Group P, is the lowest rank. They're always, and they reported the lowest level of skill. The same with their background knowledge and satisfaction. We had similar patterns. And we had some open-ended questions. We asked them how did they see the game. All of them were saying it was very enjoyable, exciting, and very challenging. And we asked them also about their team dynamics to see if that was the factor there. And we saw that the winning team actually was more positive towards their team dynamics. And the ones who were losing said that their team dynamics was not very good. So we don't know if that, these are just some correlations. We don't know if the team dynamics could actually affect that, or it's just because they were winning, they thought that the team dynamics was not good. So as I said, these are some summary of my results. If you're interested, you can go back to the paper. I just tried to make them short enough. So the discussions was that our conclusions. We saw that competition can engage, especially from our focus group study. Everybody was reporting that that's the key element for coming to this class and playing. Because half of the class was just basic theory of the game, not the game, the system, and the second half was this game kind of simulation. And then everybody was saying the first half was so boring, and this one was so exciting that we got someone actually brought a monitor with him to a classroom and attached to a computer so they can monitor everything. We always want to say that, okay, we need to have some caution. It's not that competition is everything. If you add it, it's a magic bullet, it solves everything. You definitely need to have some cooperation besides that. In the team work that we saw, there was a teamwork. They were playing in this group, but at the end, they were competing with other teams. And the point is that there was less than 5 marks out of the 100 marks for winning all the rounds of the game. So basically, every team could get some point out of 5 during this simulation. But still, regardless of not having much extrinsic motivation, just the fact of competition was so exciting for them. And previous knowledge in this context was affecting their perceived skill. So people who had more knowledge in the context, they thought that they're more skilled in playing with this system. So when you want to design a learning system, a gamification system, we would say that you need to define your pedagogical objectives very clearly and make sure that other factors are not affecting what you want to teach a student. Level of flow, we saw that it doesn't change during the game. It's constantly very high. And skills, as people learn, they're interacting with the system, they think that they're at least getting better with it. Winning has definitely effect on their level of perceived skill. If they win, they think they're better at that game. And challenge was increasing as the game was moving towards the end, and they could see that the game is getting over. There were definitely some limitations as many research. So we need definitely some confirmatory analysis. This is just exploratory. We need a bigger sample size. And we talk about a lot of correlations, but causalities are definitely some things that we need to look into more deeply. And we didn't compare competition versus no competition environment. That's something that in our future research we want to look at and see if we can compare them more precisely. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.